Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Department Podcast, the wrestling recap version of the Department Podcast, where we talk about all things wrestling inside and outside of the ring. I'm Stephen Clark on this beautiful Sunday morning, hopefully, that you're watching this with Justin Valentovic and Jesse Norman. Fellas, before we get into the wacky wide world of wrestling, how you doing this morning?
Pretty good, a little cold. We're recording it basically Halloween afternoon, so I worked early morning down in Chatham. I did a field hockey game in and out in an hour and a half, basically, from when the game actually started, because running clock is a thing of beauty for live sports. Gotta love it, but, easy money, easy day. Not as cold. It is cold. There was frost on the ground today when I woke up at 7:30. And dude, there was literally it looked like snow on some of the buildings down there.
Oh.
So I woke up and just, oh God,
it's October/November.
This was the coldest Halloween I think we've had since, remember when it was 7-8 years ago? Well, the year before Sandy was the blizzard.
Yeah.
Where it got canceled. So that's fun. Basically, we're going to have a cold ass winter, I think, up here. So
that'd be brutal. In the Northeast.
Considering it's already 45 degrees and it was I woke up this morning, it said 30 degrees on my phone, and I cried a little bit because I would usually have to not have to deal with that until December when I was doing morning shows at school. So the fact that we had to do it now in October sucks.
Those were the worst. Those you had to wake up at 6 a.m. and drive to
and having to cross the bridge. For those who obviously don't know, but we have a bridge from main campus, the parking lot, to where the radio station was, and the walk from the parking lot to the station over the bridge.
Dangerous too. Yeah.
Dangerous. The wind, you'd want to die. It was just, there were times where I would reconsider and just go home at that point. I drove, woke up at 5 a.m. and got there, but I would consider going home, early as fuck a.m. basically, when it was just the cold wind hitting you in the face. The worst is when you just shaved too, the night before, so you just have nothing. It's just, it sucks.
I can't relate to that except for the last couple of days for me. But Jesse, how are you doing right now?
I'm good. I didn't have to get up at 6 a.m. and deal with frost. So that's good.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
I woke up at 7. Not 6, but 7.
6, 7, same thing.
We were both still sleeping.
Yeah.
Anyway, glad you guys, for the most part, are doing well on this cold October/November day, depending on when you're listening. Well, November. But all right, we haven't had a normal episode in a while. I was talking to you guys a little bit before we started. We had the draft, we had Hell in a Cell, we had takeovers, other pay-per-views. We never had a real wrestling recap in a long time, and it feels good to finally bring Outside the Ring back in, because there's a couple things that happened this week. And
No, it's nice, because normally we would just kind of blow through a point here, a point there, and then we were on to whatever show we were. But now we can actually just take our time and go through the shows, and you can dictate to me what happened.
It feels nice. And I'm going to bring up a story first that we've talked about on a previous podcast about Vince McMahon shutting down all the Twitch streams because he doesn't want their wrestler names on the Twitch streams, and a lot of them, like AJ Styles, Cesaro, Mia Yim, were a couple of notable names that had to shut down their stream. But the one that stood out to me the most out of all these was Paige, because on Paige's last stream, she went on a rant and how she broke her effing neck, quote unquote, that she said, for this company multiple times, and has put her blood, sweat, and tears on the line. And this is how they repay her. She can't wrestle. They took the one thing away from her that she loved, which was wrestling, which was when she broke her neck, and now they took the next thing that she loved, which was streaming and her community on Twitch.
And it's just
sad.
We talked about it whenever that was, what was that, 2-3 months ago, I think,
couple months ago. Yeah.
But this is just WWE pulling some bullshit because they just want the money from it, which is stupid.
Yeah.
Because they make enough money off of the royalties from the player, not the player, but the wrestlers, likeness and everything, and name's sake for everything. Who cares? They're probably making an extra 10 to 15 grand, maybe quarterly, yearly. If I don't know the numbers on Twitch, but it's not that drastic that WWE needs to get their hand in the cookie jar, basically. And you see where they're they could come back, but under the WWE Twitch, so they're fine with doing it as long as they're getting cut of it. They don't give a care, they don't care that they're using the WWE products, like AJ Styles is using, but that's not even WWE's property. Yeah. But it's just they just want the money. It's clearly a money thing at the end of the day.
It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah. That's all it is.
It's just sad.
I get at the end of the day, when this started and anybody tried to make any type of excuse for it, come on. There are people I kind of understand why they want to do it. And it's no, they're just greedy. That's all it is. Vince just wants more money.
And kayfabe's dead. So the superstars and wrestlers interacting with their fans, in that capacity, Who cares? Everyone knows their characters. That's not actually their personality on TV. The curtain, the fourth wall is broken as is already. They reference their private lives, for God's sakes, on reality television. So it's like, what does it matter anymore? Who cares?
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, it's a business, and Vince is going to be Vince, and Vince is going to want more money, and it's just very sad to see. Speaking of Vince, let's continue on that train. And apparently there's a Netflix documentary coming out to Netflix, and it's the highest budget this documentary has in all of Netflix history or something. So I just want to know, like, if they're just going to do his, I'm curious to get your input on this, actually, guys. Are they going to do his career? Are they going to do his upbringing? Like, what do you think is the main, like, is it going to be like a 10-part doc like The Last Dance?
I feel like that's where it's almost kind of coming from, because obviously, Last Dance was in conjunction with ESPN. It was kind of a much bigger 30 for 30, but they got the redistribution rights, after it aired, and that worked really well because Michael Jordan's an icon. Wrestling is a global phenomenon, and obviously, with Netflix's prices going up $1 now, that's great.
Yeah, come on, right?
So we're figuring out how they're paying for this budget. No, but it's probably going to be kind of like how Last Dance, where wherever they're starting, that's where they start from. But how, like, they went back to Jordan's college days, his father dying, like, they'll bounce back and forth between episodes. I'll see it probably being a 5 to 10 part series and kind of bouncing around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that they're going outside of, like, it not being a WWE, documentary or a third, and especially because of how well Last Ride was produced and received.
Mm-hmm.
Last Ride, and it's amazing how now they're going to Netflix for it.
All right. My last question about this, then we can move on to the other things outside the ring, is since it's not a WWE network thing and it's technically not under the WWE brand, do they bring up Chris Benoit in this documentary? Because that is
no. Vince doesn't. I don't think Vince signs off.
That is a
unless
big part of 07 when the whole Vince dying thing, and
I think they
might just gloss over it.
They might reference it, but I don't think they're going to go in depth.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to talk about it.
I don't think it's more than like a 10-minute segment.
Agree, but I think it does get mentioned for the first time in over 15 years or so.
What they very well could do is kind of lump it together when they get into, like, the whole steroid, portion of it, and how it was connected to, they try to say it wasn't roid rage, more CTE. Obviously now we know that it was more CTE driven. Yeah. If they go and if they talk about Eddie Guerrero, they go hand in hand, like they're linked at the hip to both of them. And, maybe that's why they went outside of WWE to sort of be okay with it. There's definitely some agreement. There's some parameters that are going to be set for sure. I don't know. And because really outside of, Vince and Netflix, if it's their own property, they could bring in whoever they want to interview about it.
Literally anything. Like, if it's not, I know it has to do with WWE under the brand, but if it's primarily Netflix and whoever's directing it and all that, I think it has a good shot. I really do.
Now, what we could see is maybe if they do have things with Benoit linked to it, maybe they try to black out or blur, like, the WWE logos to try to separate from it. Possible. At least then it's not shown in the same frame. I don't know. Do we have a timetable on this at all? Like,
great question. I'll look it up quickly.
But I think they're going to mention it, but they're not going to go in depth on it. And I'd be surprised if we see Vince actually talk. Like, if Vince is going to be the one talking about it, it's going to be just him. I don't think he'll have anyone else interviewing about it, like being a talking head.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a date on it yet. So that's probably in the works right now. They're filming it now.
We'll probably get it in like 2022.
Probably. Yeah. All right, let's just continue. A little bit of last news. Matt Riddle loses his first name. It happened again.
It happens to everyone who comes up from NXT.
Jesse, you look pissed when I said that. I'll go to you with this one. Why? What's your thoughts? This is stupid.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid. Riddle is not a name.
The Riddler.
Like, it's not a name. It's like, sounds dumb.
Apparently Vince is high on him.
Like, why?
I don't understand.
I bet he is.
I mean, Riddle's high on himself.
Vince is always high on, like, Vince is always high on the guys that he drops their first names, and then it never ends up working for them.
But it's usually like
Andrade.
Isn't it usually like right when they get called up is when they drop it? Like he was up for what?
Around then, yeah.
A year, give or take.
But what is he?
The COVID era.
But what has he done?
When it's
but what has he done? He had a feud with Baron Corbin. Ooh.
Nothing. It's dumb. He was trying to defend it, but that was just WWE telling him to probably tweet something out, being like, "Hey yo, if you like the name, then the people."
You gotta scratch off your wrestling figure now, Clark. You gotta.
I gotta get a. Oh yeah, you got me the Matt Riddle. But now I need a Riddle figure.
Exactly,
Justin.
just straight Riddle.
Oh my God, Justin, you gotta buy me a Riddle figure now, okay?
All right, if I find it at Target somewhere.
Okay. But that's stupid. And the last bit of news, on NXT UK this week, for the first time in 2020, Dave Meltzer, who I do not like, but gave Ilya Dragunov and Walter 5 stars. I think that is great. They deserve the 5 stars, but there are plenty of other WWE matches that deserve to have that 5-star rating earlier from this year. Edge and Orton, the current matches at Hell in a Cell the last week.
There were some at Havoc that could be considered, or just anything. Havoc. Just the WWE and Takeover and NXT especially have just been putting on great matches.
Yeah, Balor, O'Reilly, a bunch of matches, but I just want to get that point.
Meltzer's an idiot. That's
plain and simple.
Yeah,
don't disagree with that one.
Don't worry, I'm sure New Japan has got like 12 5-star ratings.
He's up his own ass,
even though they have like nobody left.
He's the Mike Francesa of wrestling like critiques, where he's been doing it for so long, and he was kind of one of the original people to be like a lead voice on it. So it's basically his shit don't stink type of thing, where it's his way or the highway, and his opinion is the only one that matters, which is bullshit.
Yeah, well, his opinion mattered enough for me to put it in this show, so cool. All right, let's get into the normal week of wrestling, and of course, we'll start with Monday Night Raw. And of course, Hell in a Cell ends and all that fun stuff, but then they start leading up to the next pay-per-view, which is the Fall Classic known as Survivor Series. And they announced once again, it is brand for brand, but different than last year because NXT is not involved this year.
Are they trying to like separate? I guess like NXT was getting too close of being like almost the borderline B show, and Vince said nuh-uh and wanted to knock him back to developmental. Like that's literally what happened.
Yeah, it's.
Still, I kept telling everybody kept being like NXT's main roster. No, it's not. Vince does not consider it main roster.
Vince doesn't.
That's why they don't talk about NXT. That's why they don't. Like it doesn't matter that they got a TV deal. They are developmental.
Well, they only got put on TV honestly because of the Fox deal, and they needed to fill obligations with USA. That's really what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But no NXT so far this year. It's still early. They could still.
I don't think we'll see it because they build it right away with NXT.
Just imagine Asuka, Sasha Banks, Io Shirai. That would have been a triple threat match if NXT wasn't.
Or it would have been Finn, Roman, and Orton.
But as the matches stand right now, we just almost named 2 of them: Roman versus Orton, Banks versus Asuka, which we've seen for the last 6 months during the quarantine era. Lashley versus Sami Zayn, and we all know how that story was about, like when Lashley came back with Lashley's sisters.
I love my sisters.
His sisters. Oh man! But then the match,
what a great gimmick they tried to give him.
So stupid. It was so dumb.
Just a man who loves his sisters.
He loves his sisters. Sweet Home Alabama. And lastly, the match that I think is going to steal the show is the Raw Tag Team Champions, the New Day versus SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits.
That's going to be such a good match.
It gives me Uso New Day vibes a lot.
The fact that they're doing champion versus champion, fine, that was a given. But the fact that both shows champions are really good and they can have really good matches makes me excited for Survivor Series. And normal Survivor Series, for me at least, it's the number 4 out of the big 4 pay-per-views. Yeah. Like I could really, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But this one, the card just looks really good. I'm excited for it.
Orton Roman main event thing is going to be something. It's going to be something. But that does it for little Survivor Series talk. But let's switch gears for a little bit and talk about Alexa Bliss officially in her character in the Firefly Funhouse as this little playful, little childlike character. And Jesse, I'll go to you with this one because I know you're a big fan of this as well. Do you finally like seeing like her have this different persona now besides the creepy girl we've been also seeing? Like it works, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Arsenic. you know?
Arsenic.
That was great. She had great delivery.
Yeah.
They kill Ramblin' Rabbit all the time. So
yeah.
you know,
he's like the Kenny, like from South Park. Kenny gets killed like 3 times.
Yeah, from South Park. Yeah. Well, it's because Bray hates that character, obviously. He hates that character the most in all of his history.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. I like her inclusion. I like the way they did it. I like her inclusion and Bray's inclusion of still being like the Fiend protects us here. Out there, out in the real world is the scary part.
And I like that they gave her.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good.
It's a good alter ego for her to have because that's kind of what Bray's alter ego is within the Firefly Funhouse. It's literally each of them have the bubbly character type and personality, and then out in the ring they're monsters.
Monsters, yeah. I'm trying to look up really quickly what Alexa Bliss's glove said. One of them was play, maybe pain and play.
Yeah, I think
pain and play, just like hurt and heal that Bray has. So they're running with that same thing with the gloves. One's one, one's the other. They were dressed in their little like Halloweenish costumes. Bray was the Mad Hatter, and Alexa was, I guess, Alice from Alice in Wonderland. So, my Alexa keeps going off. Jesus Christ!
Just unplug it.
No.
Unplug it.
But that was cool. Let's get that out there. But on a completely different level, that is phenomenal stuff on Raw. And now we're going to the bottom of the barrel on Raw because Raw does not have a women's roster at all. So basically, it was a backstage segment.
Only there was a draft where they could have bolstered up their division.
Or they could have called. Oh my God! But there was a backstage argument. Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, and Mandy talking about some nonsense, and then Adam Pearce is basically just like, "You 4 are on Survivor Series. There's no matches."
But what pull does he have? He's just a WWE
There's
official.
no matches.
There wasn't no qualifying matches. He just said, "You guys are representing Raw. You 4 so far." But then before I ask questions and all that stuff, then they need a 5th spot, of course. So there's a fatal 4-way match to determine the 5th spot in this. Who gets to be on the women's side of Team Raw for Survivor Series, and it's Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, Lana, and I'm missing one, but someone else.
Lacey,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Someone that doesn't matter. Lana wins, of course, because that happens.
Of course she does.
I'll go to Justin for this one. Why? Just why?
It's just you had better options.
They have
all the time.
Lana has pay-per-views written into her contract. I'm telling you.
It just doesn't do anything.
That pay-per-view payday.
She'll be the Mike Knox of the Survivor Series team, where basically rings like the match starts and they just get super kicked in the first one eliminated. She'll be it. That's it. That's her role there. She's filler.
The other one was Lacey Evans, but I'm gonna go the exact opposite and say she's the sole survivor.
Oh God, no!
Stop. She might, honestly.
She's gonna be sole survivor.
The only person who should be getting the sole survivor is either Baszler or Mandy, I guess. But it should be Baszler.
That's my
bold prediction. Raw wins, actually Raw shouldn't win. Smackdown should win, and Bianca should be the
SmackDown's team that has one female on it is already better than Raw's team with all 5 of them.
Yeah.
But my bold prediction is, Lana is going to be sole survivor. Then, of course, she'll get put through a table again because that's what they do every single week for the last 2 months.
She likes tables.
They're going into a tables match in the TLC because that's what's going to happen. December rolls around. You got to have the TLC pay-per-view.
They got to keep putting her through tables
till December, like late December. We looked it up. It was like December 27th,
like 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that. Let's finish out Raw. Sheamus, AJ Styles, Keith Lee advance. Cool. Good foundation for Raw so far. I wish it was Matt Riddle instead of Sheamus, but beggars can't be choosers in that.
Yeah.
And then
excuse me, I think you mean Riddle.
Oh, Riddle.
Riddle.
My bad.
Riddle?
I have no idea. Never heard of Matt Riddle before. Riddle, my bad. Jesus Christ, Riddle.
It'll take a while to get used to it.
Yeah, that sucks. And then the end of Raw, it's just very confusing lately just because Orton's the new champ and Drew's chasing him and Fiend's in there and Miz's Money in the Bank. So I'll go back to Jesse with this one. Who do you want to see Orton face first? Because there's just a lot of people. It's very confusing. Who should be his first feud as world champion? Besides, I guess put Drew in that mix too, yeah.
Couldn't be Drew. It shouldn't be Drew.
It shouldn't be Drew.
I mean, we've seen the Drew Randy storyline for what feels like so long now. I think Drew should be put into a program with somebody else.
Put him with Fiend.
I like Fiend. I like Fiend versus Orton because it says it has the whole Bray storyline backdrop to it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best one to go with. But also, do you run that for TLC? Probably not. Because I feel like that's the last time they did Bray Wyatt Randy Orton was a WrestleMania, and now they would regulate it to TLC.
Yeah.
What I think should happen is Fiend. What I think is going to happen is Drew. It's going to be Drew and Randy again at TLC.
Drew technically has a rematch clause, so they can.
Remember they got rid of rematch clauses when
right.
It was our WWE, but then they still gave them to people.
Yeah, it's just
it's weird.
They say there's no more rematch clauses, but then sometimes there still is rematch clauses.
Yeah.
All right, so that does it for Monday Night Raw. It was an okay episode of Raw, not the best, not the worst, but not bad for
just kind of what you expect from Raw. Like, this is the baseline to it.
Yeah. Once they get some pieces back on their women's
Raw
roster,
would be just a lot better if there wasn't a third hour.
Yep.
And especially once they just axed Underground, so they don't even have that anymore. So that's just gone.
Those guys who were in Underground are just on the roster floating now.
They're gonna get released in. Next round of cuts is usually what? November, October, November, December, January? Like around this time?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They did a lot earlier, so
ugh.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Just go to 2 hours, Raw, and it fixes a lot of their problems.
Yeah. But on a more positive note.
Yeah, but then they lose that sweet, sweet advertisement money.
That is a lot of advertisement money. You're not wrong there. There's a good 5 commercial breaks plus in that last hour. Let's go on a more positive note. Because Raw was meh, but then we get to Wednesday night. And Wednesday night is the best night of the week for wrestling because this week was NXT Halloween Havoc. And it was a lot of fun. Before I get into all the matches and stuff, just the theming of the whole Capitol Wrestling Center with the orange ropes and the big inflatable pumpkin that Justin wanted.
It was there.
It was there. Yeah,
and I love how they got the most generic Kmart looking inflatable pumpkin too, which was fantastic, and they just had.
It was literally on sale pumpkin. Yeah.
So Halloween was on a Saturday, so I don't get why it's not actually on Halloween, but that's here nor there.
I just feel like they thought people weren't gonna watch it.
I guess
because people might be out, kids might be out.
Well, you got to think if kids are trick or treating, it would be on at 7:00. And that's prime trick-or-treating.
Yeah. But who cares? It was still a really good show.
Yeah, great show, but it also it helps to compete, of course, with the ratings.
With AEW, yeah. Because this is the third time we've seen a holiday themed. Well, because Bash was 2 nights, essentially. And then so this is essentially the third time that they've done a holiday themed NXT, not even a takeover.
The only thing that scares me is that I don't want them to become the WCW in this battle just because they're running all these old WCW themed.
Well, but they have the names to it, and some of the names are good, and some of them make sense. Halloween Havoc and Bash, fine. I'm good with that. Don't bring back, and they go to Starrcade every once in a while, but that's only when they're in North Carolina. So that's whatever. But just leave it at that. Those 2 are good. Halloween Havoc makes sense. That's it.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. But enough about the set and all that stuff and that nonsense. Let's get into the matches and what actually happened on the show. And we started off with the North American title match, and Johnny Gargano defeated Priest in a Devil's Playground match, which we didn't know what that was until we came back from commercials and they had a little graphic up that said what it was.
Wasn't that what the Hell in a Cell used to be called too?
It was the nickname for it.
It was a nickname for it, yeah.
Because imagine they just dropped a cell from the friggin' top of
they start putting together. That'd be funny. But a Devil's Playground match is literally just anything goes and falls kind of anywhere involved. So it was nice. It was fun. A lot of Halloween themed stuff. They took a lot of hard hits. But Gargano won due to the help of
Ghostface.
A guy in a Scream mask. Basically.
Yeah, Ghostface.
Oh, that's fine. I guess it's Justin's turn. Who's under the mask, Justin?
So because it came out later for Candice LeRae, thing, and with it being Halloween Havoc, it should be David Arquette because he was in Scream and he was in WCW. So I want David Arquette to pop out whenever they next have it.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? It would have made sense.
You know what? That's what I want it to be too.
Oh no! I hope not.
As long as it's not Jon Stewart.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Even worse, honestly. I don't think we're to find out who it is. I really don't. I think it was just a little.
Do you think it's just got another thing?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption.
Yep. It's just gonna be. All right, that happened. They're gonna forget it happened next week.
Because the Scream costume is literally just a black robe and a mask, so it can hide male, female body types perfectly. Because it's just it's not like a jumpsuit like Michael Myers. You could obviously tell if it's a man or a woman if it was just that.
Yeah.
It very well could just fall by the wayside and just be like, ooh, remember the ghost of Halloween Havoc type of thing?
Like the ECW zombie.
Remember the ghost?
Like the ECW zombie all over again.
Oh, we saw the NXT zombies later on.
We did. We'll get to that. But at first, I probably wasn't the only one thinking this in the world of wrestling that I thought it was Ciampa at first.
Yeah.
That's what I was also thinking.
But
I mean, if they're not moving Gargano up, I guess you can
give him another tag team title run, like a legit tag team title run, like it has heels now. That'd be fun. But anyways, we get into the second hottest thing in wrestling right now, which is Pat McAfee.
He's back, baby.
He's back.
I'm so happy.
He's back. He's with his Brit and his United States boy, Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. And O'Reilly comes out then after Pat spewing some nonsense, and O'Reilly has a chair and he's ready to beat up on them. And then all of a sudden Pete Dunne comes out and it's like, all right, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, gonna go to Pat McAfee and take the pain to them. It's basically a 2-on-2. Pat's not a wrestler, but he's a phenomenal athlete. So it's basically like, all right, we got this, O'Reilly and Dunne.
It's going down.
Then Dunne, I guess something triggers his mind and remembers all that Undisputed did to him in the past and turns his back on O'Reilly and joins McAfee's stable.
Or it could be as simply as he gave him a Mercedes also, like how technically, Ridge Holland got from Pat McAfee. So, the Sirius XM money's paying off mercenaries basically for him.
Well, I can't relate to that Sirius XM
But
money.
there's your 4 to put Pat in War Games with the era. It sets it up perfectly. They took one British guy and replaced him with another.
A better British guy, too.
And I don't see it anyway going but War Games now with putting Dunne with him. It makes sense. It's the easiest and most logical way for this to go now.
Yeah, this story is how it was supposed to be with Ridge Holland there. And I really think Pat McAfee was supposed to come back at Halloween Havoc and side with the Undisputed Era and then just attack Undisputed just like it happened.
Pete Dunne's definitely the audible of the story since Holland did get hurt. So, yeah, when Holland when he threw Cole over, I would assume they had this all in motion at that point. Like, this isn't just let's connect it somehow. Like, this is literally what they had in mind, and fantastic for them. Because give me Pat McAfee all day.
Unless Pat wasn't supposed to be in it and supposed to be Ridge, Pete, Oni, and Danny.
Maybe Pete was supposed to be kind of like the puppet master.
Maybe, but I'm shocked Pete's in the United States right now. Because last time I checked, he was back.
They
snuck him in somehow.
I don't know how.
They snuck him in,
but they got him overseas. They got him into the US. So cool. We only have a little bit of time left in this little section, so we're gonna finish out NXT really quickly and talk about the Haunted House of Terrors match. And wow, this was a movie. It was a cheesy 1980s, 1990s horror movie. With Dexter Lumis playing the role perfectly as a creepy guy in a haunted house, and the special effects were cheesy and funny. It was more funny than scary to me.
Oh yeah.
And Cameron Grimes is phenomenal.
Grimes is good.
It was basically
Grimes is so good.
If you took, trying to mix if you took basically all elements of all the cinematic matches from all of WWE and just threw them together, that's what you get this. But just the campiness of it was hilarious. And I love 80s, slasher movies, Friday the 13th, Halloween, all of them. It was just funny. I loved the cheesy zombies, the ghosts, and the fact that it ended in the ring and at the Performance Center was great, just because then it wasn't a complete
walked all the way to the Performance Center.
It was funny because he was walking, so obviously there was a van, filming him. It's like they didn't give him a ride.
I didn't even think about that. But I think we were all fans of the match. It was a lot of fun.
You especially because you text me the end at the end and like the blood and like just the campy ending was just
that was the best.
That was the cherry on top. It was perfect.
The best part of the whole match is when Loomis won the match. It goes up the ramp, whatever, and the zombies start attacking Grimes in the ring. It just comes up at the end. Oh, that was great. Very cheesy, very fun. The Battle of the Big Girls was fun. Raquel and Rhea Ripley. They put on a match.
Yeah, it was a good match.
Two big horses, baby. It just shows how women's wrestling has progressed so much and is really giving these bigger boned, very muscular, strong women a chance. Very athletic women to have a chance on a big NXT show to go out and, if it wasn't for the title matches, steal the show, honestly, because Raquel proved to be a top woman in NXT, and Rhea Ripley, we've known for a couple of years now, is really, really good at 23 years old.
A Halloween stipulation either. It was just straight up match.
Well, I guess it was like Frankenstein versus Frankenstein or something.
Yeah. Well, it would have been Frankenstein's monster. Come on.
Oh, okay. Mr. Horror Nerd over here. All right. Last match, NXT. Io Shirai defeats Candice LeRae in a tables, ladders, and scares match. And I know Justin was happy because they suspended the title above the ring for this.
TLC matches as pinfall are the stupidest thing ever. What's the point in having the ladder then at that point? And it's just a, Extreme Rules match at that point. Yep. But you're just being forced to use these set of weapons and tools. So it's like, it just makes sense to hang the damn belt.
Yeah. Match was good. Very hard hitting. A lot of spots. And Jess, I'll go talk to you about this one a little bit. Johnny won earlier in the night, and it was maybe almost like setting up a Candice win. Were you shocked to see Io win, or once even like the ghost guy came out again?
No, I think they've still been. I don't know who's gonna beat Io.
It's like that's the thing. All over again. Like it literally is.
It feels.
The only one maybe Ripley.
Like I knew Candice wasn't gonna beat her because it's like, you don't build up Io Shirai to just have Candice LeRae beat her. I don't know who they're gonna have beat her at this point. It just seems like anybody in the near future is gonna lose.
Ember has maybe Ember
has chance too, maybe.
Because Ember couldn't get it done against Asuka. Maybe she tries to get it done against.
It'd be Ember or
they should have had her.
It would have to be Ember or someone who's not on the current NXT roster.
Because the only one I would think of before that would be like maybe Bianca, and she's on SmackDown now.
And I think it has to end in NXT. They can't bring it up to main roster again, like what they did with Asuka.
Yeah, I don't see her getting called up though. I really don't, just because they're not calling people up.
Yeah, no, they just don't have to.
No.
I mean, besides the Raw women's division,
if they didn't call them up in the draft, they're not going to get called up for at least a year. Then
no,
didn't call anybody up in the draft.
Sad, very sad. But great match. Like I said, hard hitting. Ghostface appeared again to try to help Candice, but it didn't work out. Cool. That does it for Halloween Havoc. We're going to take a quick break right here, and when we come back, we'll just fly through SmackDown, and then that's it. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, and we're here to talk about SmackDown really quickly. And I'm going to save the best stuff for last. I just decided that right now because we'll get through all that Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, family tie stuff at the end of SmackDown. So let's talk about the controversial thing from SmackDown then, because Murphy laid a nice smooch on Aaliyah. Because Aaliyah's been protecting him for weeks, and Aaliyah said she loves Murphy. She used the L word. Wow, they're going with this.
And we got the Mysterio family drama, just poured it over to Friday night because they literally took everybody from that feud and they took a page out of SpongeBob's book and just pushed it somewhere else.
Yeah,
they
decided
you're
right.
This was so good that they needed to put it on primetime Fox.
They should have been over 2 months ago. 2 months ago.
It's in Ray's contract.
Easily.
We know that now.
After the poke your eye out match, that should have been, one more blow off match with Dominik, and that's it. That should have been July, August, SummerSlam. His debut match should have been the last match, but they said, let's kick it up a notch and bring in the rest of the family, and that's what they're doing.
No, they're like, no, we're continuing. But Ray still wears like the cover over his eye too.
And the eye injury he had, where it technically, like in storyline, he didn't have a real fucking eye injury. We all know that. But like, it said without any, like, if they popped it back in, there might not have been any damage. If there was no like retina damage or any other tendon damage or nerve damage, they could just say, they got lucky. He had no damage. Boom, get rid of the eye patch. Done.
Exactly. But nope, he still wears
I think
that.
then Seth would start targeting the eye again, though.
Ooh.
Then go for the other one.
Because, he's a crazy man.
But
he's wild.
I don't know what's going on with this. I really
When is
don't
Seth going
care.
away? Like, when is he taking time off?
I don't know, because Becky's pregnant. Like there was a picture. Becky is.
Yeah, she posted
Becky is
the
pregnant.
shadow, basically, of her baby bump.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's like, she's doing like November, December. That's literally, November 1st is literally tomorrow when we're recording it.
Oof, he has to get written off really soon. Really, really soon. But that happened.
It needs to go.
It's gonna happen every week.
So is Dominik just gonna be like the protective big brother now and not like the boy that his sister's dating, essentially? Like, are we literally getting a high school drama on TV and wrestling? Because that's literally where this is going at this point.
I think so. I really do. And I'm not a fan of it.
But what's the point of having like Ray around then? Just have him go bye-bye then and let Dominik be the full guy, but you need Ray around because they're the Mysterios.
And it's his contract. And they're a tag team. Remember, they're a tag team.
They're a tag team.
Don't forget that, Justin. Oh, Jesus
God,
Christ.
then put the tag belts on or have them do something other than this.
They're the
Anything
protectors.
else?
They're the protectors of Aaliyah.
They could just send her home.
She doesn't even
not
have
like
to be
she's
there.
under contract.
She's not a performer. Like, in theory, like, she has no obligation to be there. She just showed up.
She shows up, kisses Murphy, gets that paycheck probably, and leaves. She probably gets paid something.
Dude, did she forget what Murphy did?
Right?
He helped gouge out your father's eye.
She's into the bad guys. All girls are into those bad guys. They don't go for the good guys anymore. You know how that is. Yeah, that. Anyways, Banks and Bailey had a little, argument, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're having a rematch in the future. I think it might be next week. If not,
I think it's next week.
Yeah, it's next week. They're going to get that out of the way before Survivor Series.
Cool. Perfect. That's it. Perfect. Belair qualifies for Team Survivor Series for SmackDown. Already better than the Raw team with all those other goons on the Raw side.
She's going to be the sole survivor, or at least in the group of the sole survivors.
See, she should be.
Yeah.
But it's going to be Lana.
They're going to pull a thing where Lana gets put through an announce table after like Nia Baszler gets eliminated, and then she's going
to lay there.
Yep. They're going to take her out for what she doesn't have to do anything, and then she's going to come in and steal a pin with a roll-up, and that's how that match is going to end.
You're so right. That just has their writing
and then Lana gets another title shot.
And Lana wins, and Lana's the world champion.
It's so stupid. It's like,
why Lana? Why
it's
Lana?
like they didn't care about Rusev, so are they trying to like push her to be like, look, we care, like what are they? I don't know. Other than like, if
they've always liked Lana, Vince likes blondes
because it fits their mold.
Like that's just well known. He likes blondes.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He likes his blondes. That's why Mandy gets a lot of TV time, and Dana Brooke as of late, and Charlotte, of course, and he likes his blondes. He does. Let's finish out SmackDown. We have a couple last things. Kevin Owens won. Yay!
And it wasn't a kickoff.
He's not on the kickoff.
He's just on TV at least.
He's on TV. He wears jeans now.
Well, he won't be on Survivor Series. Well, he'll at least be on the Survivor Series kickoff show because he's not a champion, so therefore he won't.
No.
Unless they put him on.
He qualified. He qualified, Justin.
He qualified.
I'll put that match on the kickoff show then.
So it looks like Justin didn't watch SmackDown last night.
I was working.
Okay.
I keep tabs when I can.
Owens will be like first one out.
Owens is first one out for sure.
Yeah.
But he qualified, but the more important qualification is Jey Uso qualified by beating Daniel Bryan. But earlier in the night, it started off with Jey Uso in the ring Roman coming down there saying, you know, I'm your tribal chief, fall in line, dude. And Uso was crying, saying he hates him. And Roman's like, I love you.
It's like, okay. It's
I was
like, okay.
Damn. It was deep. It was really deep. And like this Roman Reigns is the hottest thing in wrestling right now. Maybe the last 5 or 10 years at this point. My God, it's just
the Fiend was pretty hot.
Fiend. Okay.
And then they killed him in Hell in a Cell.
Yep.
You're right. But this
destroyed all that momentum.
Next level.
But no, this is good.
Yeah, next level storytelling, next level acting. Roman's trying to book the next Fast and Furious contract right now.
Oh, for sure.
It's just next level everything, just like the acting, storytelling, the family you have involved, and the emotions that we feel from this.
I know we said it after Hell in a Cell, but Rock is like, it has to be The Rock now, like even more.
Yeah.
Like week by week, it has to. It only is going to be The Rock.
Watch it be Rikishi.
Roman. Just saying. I said Jay was going to join by end of Friday night. I said.
And then as you just said, Jesse, by the end of Friday night, Uso basically says, I'll fall in line. I'm with you, Roman. And Roman's like, prove it. So he beat the hell out of Daniel Bryan and really brutalized him. And Uso splashed him through a table. And
it's like, thanks for coming back, Daniel.
Yeah, and I'm good for Daniel for putting over Jay and putting over the storyline too, because he has nothing to lose now. Daniel, he's just there. This is his last stint with the company.
Yeah, he's chilling. He's basically, it's a glorified retirement tour.
Yeah. So
I know you guys. Do you think until Roman gets his first movie?
Oh, as like a Soul Star,
or like even just a Fast and Furious or something?
I think they'll bring
similar to how Cena did.
Because the Fast series is ending soon, but he's technically in the Hobbs and Shaw.
You say that, but then they're going to do a spin-off.
Well, they're already doing spin-offs. Like Hobbs and Shaw was a spin-off of the original 12. So when the original 12 end, they're just going to run with Hobbs and Shaw, basically, and then if that's the case, Roman's naturally in that movie to begin with even more because he was in the ending of the first one.
Yeah.
But so if Roman takes part in that, I think Roman retires within 2 years.
As a full-time?
He's already said I think like he's going to go Cena already. He already said on one of the podcast things that he was thinking about retiring when COVID hit, and then he said basically there was nobody to carry the company. So
not wrong.
Not wrong at all. No. But
yeah, they asked him who, and I mean, this is obviously, him in character, but it was who impressed you, while you were gone. Nobody. He said nobody. That's why I'm back.
There was probably some truth to that too.
Yeah, it was very Orton. Yeah. Like the only thing was Orton that was good during the quarantine era, really. Because everything else was very middle.
Average.
Average to good, but the only thing that stood out was Orton during this whole time.
And that was until Edge got hurt, and that ended real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think we're a lot closer to the end of Roman's career than the beginning.
At least him as a full timer.
That's crazy. It feels like he just debuted the other week.
We might see him come back for 3 to 4 month stints, but then he might go away for a while.
That's crazy to think. I feel like he's just so new still, but he's honestly not.
He's been around since what?
The issue was just
7 years.
The cancer diagnosis what took the majority of his time away.
Yeah,
because that was almost a year, a little under a year,
6 months to a year, say around that.
And then COVID stuff, so he had to leave again.
That was another 5.
He had twins, so we didn't want to get
so that was effectively a year combined taking off his career at that point.
Yeah, it was a lot. And then he was injured, I know, one time too, and then he got busted for something. So
he was suspended for 60 days.
Yeah. So
30 days maybe.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. It really is, because I feel like the Shield was just a year ago. Honestly, at this point, it's time flies. But that does it for this week in wrestling. It wasn't a bad week. I think it got better as the week
went on,
which is usual what happens, because Raw is usually kind of dookie. But that does it. Thanks, guys, for listening to this episode of the Department Podcast. All three of us here really do appreciate you guys taking your time to listen to us. Make sure you never miss an episode, so follow us or subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Let us know your favorite part of the show. We like interacting with the fans. Follow us on our social media pages at Department_pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We got football breakdown, football review, whatever, NFL
Recap.
Week 9 review. Yeah, whatever.
Week 9 already. Insane.
Crazy, right? Week 9. We're over halfway done with the season now. Wow. So we have that. We have like a hot stove episode probably coming up because free agency starts, Sunday, Monday?
It's 10 days after the World Series, and that ended on a Tuesday. Yeah, something like that. Something like
Monday.
that, yeah.
Wow. So that episode's coming up soon. We did our predictions episode the other day / betting episode. So that's probably coming back. NFL midseason awards is coming. So stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.